the most profitable businesses were also the ones saving the planet. I don't know about you, but I've certainly been told growing up that you either have to do good or do well, as if you had to choose purpose or profit, or impact or scale. But what if that is actually a false choice? What if the future belongs to the companies who refuse to pick a side? Companies that are proving that purpose-fueled businesses actually have a competitive advantage these days. So tonight we are exploring this somewhat radical idea with a couple of founders who are literally rewriting the rules of what is possible. So they are not just talking about impact, they are building these technologies that can transform how we feed ourselves, how we could maybe eliminate microplastic pollution, all while creating thriving businesses. So please give a warm welcome to the stage to Nicole, the co-founder and CTO of Sallea, Sarah, CEO of KUORI, and Frank-Eric, CEO of Drinkotech.
So, hello. It's my pleasure to welcome you today here at the Startup Nights.
Pleasure.
Let's get to know our panelists a little better at the beginning of this panel. So, Nicole, the story of your startup, Sallea, actually began at the end of your bachelor's degree. And then, in your doctorate, you definitely developed it into a startup, finally, or startup idea. The technology that you developed could be used in a wide variety of industries, but you decided to go for food and cultured meat. Can you explain us why? Why this industry?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really cool to have a technology that is very broad, but obviously as a small startup we cannot tackle it all, so we had to focus on one industry. We did a big market analysis, mainly with the focus on where the technology can actually create a real benefit, and the market potential is really big. And sustainability was kind of at the side, because we knew we have to build a profitable business to also have a sustainable impact.
About profitability we're going to talk about later on this panel, but funnily enough, KUORI also started with a food-related topic. It all started with a banana peel. Explain us what that means, Sarah.
You are absolutely right. It all started with the banana peel as a side stream. So most of the times we do not use the side streams, and I thought, okay, that's a valuable resource for materials especially. So I was mixing up different ingredients, trying to find the perfect fit for bio-based and biodegradable solution. And yeah, started with that, hit it off for some events and stuff, and then founded KUORI right after my bachelor's.
And now, what kind of products are already manufactured with your material that you're producing?
Yes, so we focus on the applications of outdoor and sports. So for example, working with Decathlon on flip-flops. There we have the problem about microplastic abrasion. Microplastic cannot decompose in environment, and we rub it off all of the time. It's persistent, so we need to change that. So this is why it makes sense in that case of a flip-flop. Also on the market yet, we are with an application of a small sieve. Same thing happens. If we wash our hands, microplastic floats directly into the waterways, also persistent there. So it makes sense to use our materials in these industrial applications as well.
Oh, I didn't know that with the hand washing. Good to know. And unfortunately, the weather is too cold for the flip-flops, but I will keep an eye on them for the next summer. So we stay a little bit with the food and beverage topic here. Frank-Eric, if I had to create a vision for Drinkotech or Neo Drinks, which is actually your operator here in Switzerland.
Correct.
I would simplify it and say you dream of a world without plastic bottles. What do you mean? Is that correct?
I mean, reducing plastic matters, but it's just a symptom of what we are tackling with the teams and our partners. Okay. What we are really looking at is the entire ecosystem of hydration. So delivery of pallets of bottles of plastic. We are looking at replenishments. We are looking at the data for production. So yes, plastic is part of the problem and the symptom,
Okay.
but here we are more looking at building a new infrastructure for hydration.
Okay, so also with kind of vending machines, right?
Correct. So mainly we do vending machines, dispensers, very intelligent machines that can not only dispense but also create the drinks and beverages at the point of consumption. So reducing then the transport and quite a lot of impact, I would say there.
I see, okay. And actually you can try these machines here because you have a booth with Neo drinks, just that
Correct.
you are informed. So before we go on with my next question, please, dear audience, have in mind that you can ask questions for Q&A. You can hand them in via a QR code so that I can ask all your questions at the end of the panel to our guests here. So Frank-Erik, stay with you for a second. I'm interested in your opinion because the title of our panel is Good Tech, Great Impact. How do you think, or what is important if you want to create good technologies that have a positive impact on our society or nature?
Well, with my team and our approach, we believe that if we want to achieve impact, we have to start with doing the right thing. In this process of doing the right thing, there is a master component for us that is very important, which is the discipline of design. So we really look at what matters to the human, the users. We work with a fantastic industrial designer that is guiding us as well to rethink not only the machine, but also the experience in order to create basically a better experience, better products to drink, and better for the people and better for the planet eventually as well, yeah.
Sure. So some people would say to create an impactful business has an idealistic touch a little bit. And idealistic ideas and profitability, is it possible to combine them? We don't know. And actually, Nicole, you already talked about profitability. What is your opinion on that? Is it possible to create an impactful company and be profitable?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also really necessary. I think if we think about impact, and that's I think also what we see with all of our ventures is that if we want to have a big impact, we need to reach as many people or as many ventures as possible. And you only get there if you can scale, and scaling needs cash flow to a certain extent. So I think it's really important that if we think about sustainability, we also think about profitability to a certain extent. But it's also important for our investors. Obviously, investors would like to get their money back at some point, and for that we need to make a profitable business. And that's not only good for the investors, but also for the next ventures that are coming in that space, because they profit again from the earnings of the investors. So I think it's good for everyone if we create sustainable businesses that are profitable.
Sure. And actually, the trend of sustainability is in some industries a bit decreasing. So Frank-Erik, is it for you as an impactful company difficult to be profitable at the moment because of this decreasing trend? What are your experiences?
Yeah, I mean, the topic of profitability is a very simple one. Every company should be profitable, but there are many components on reaching to this profitability. Profitability has, a lot of components. Can sell more, we can reduce costs, we can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And part of the equation really for us is about value. So really creating value, looking at how we can increase the reach of the technology, but also at the same time as well making it more efficient. So these are, I would say, profitability, yes, is important, but value, the aspect of value, bringing profitability up and also efficiency up, so cost and everything in the reduction space is as well important.
And profitability and value is not the same thing, exactly. So one belief that persists, especially with marketeers, is that sustainable products in the B2C world, I would say, mainly, they can be sold for a higher price because people are willing to pay more for sustainable products. Now, Sarah, you are not directly in the B2C environment, but you told me that your experience is totally a different one. So how comes?
Yeah, so we are in B2B and there is no green premium, as we maybe heard it. It goes hand in hand with what you said, right? So we need economy of scale to be profitable and to lower the price. And especially in materials, it shouldn't be a luxury, right? Everybody should be able to have impactful materials integrated in their applications. This is why it's so nice to have partners such as Decathlon, scaling up with them, lowering the price. And also the other point is we believe in sustainability step by step. So maybe some companies have a little bit of fear integrating new materials. We know that we know how to kind of do a step-by-step integration of those materials to become better step by step. But yeah, no green premium, sadly.
I see. Great. So Decathlon, you said it is one of your customers, your partners. Maybe let's stay very shortly before we go into the Q&A on the topic of finding the right partners and customers. So let's stay with you, Sarah. Decathlon, how did you create that collaboration and what's important for you when you look for collaborations?
So important for us is always to find a champion in that company, to really find that person who believes in you, who believes in the vision, and who's really like going forward with you and pushing you within the company, because Decathlon is such a huge company, so you need to make sure you have that person who's always in the driver's seat and always supporting your vision. So we are mostly going towards the innovation facilities within the company, sometimes a little bit marketing, but mostly like disruptive innovation, material science, and this is where we find our like key stakeholders, champions.
Interesting. For you, Nicole, what I think is interesting, you mentioned it in a Swisspreneur podcast where you've been a guest, and actually, little watch out, tomorrow here on the stage, the Swisspreneur podcast where we record a live session, so don't miss that. Nicole, you said in that podcast that your customers are mainly other startups. That's kind of difficult for your financial aspects, I can imagine. So what is your relationship with other startups there?
Yeah, maybe let me start with the positive side.
Yeah.
It's small companies, so you reach quite quickly to people that are decision makers in the company, which makes decision cycles really fast. I think that's the advantage of working with a startup. The drawback, obviously, is they are not stable financial feet, let's put it that way, or they pivot from time to time, which is one of the reasons why we are also now looking into collaborations more with meat producers. So not only startups that actually cultivate, but trying to team up with meat producers or bigger food corporates to build more stable feet there as well.
Interesting. So let's go to your questions. And there is one for Frank, exactly. How did you come up with the idea for Drinkotech and the execution?
I mean, how do we come with ideas? I mean, sometimes I feel it's a burst of creativity sometimes. Sometimes also it comes from the clients and the need to come up with a solution. So while going through this process together with the team, the engineers, the designer, then it's not me, it's really a collaboration, I would say. It's a multidisciplinary collaboration to bring up to life valuable technology and solution.
So I have for sure one question for Sarah and one for Nicole. So for example, what I think is very interesting is here that what is it like for you in the scaling phase to find suitable investors who also take the impact into account? So who wants to give an answer to that?
Maybe you're closer to scaling.
Sarah.
Okay. I mean, finding the right investors is like marrying somebody, so you should make sure they have the same values.
Yeah.
As said, we already said it, right? It needs to be scalable at maybe you have a better answer. Maybe I follow up on your answer. I'm curious what you say.
No, I mean, scalability is important, right? So you need to find someone who believes in that. I think it's also good to maybe have investors who already did it in that space, so who have like experience in scaling, especially in food or areas where prices are so important. I think there it's of great values if investors already have seen that space.
And that's what we hear often, right? Smart money is the key. So
Absolutely.
finding the right investors, not only from the value, but also from their skill set.
Yeah.
And maybe a question for all of you, and we can make a quick round. How do you measure your impact? Are there any specific softwares that you use or a tool to get a third-party audition? So be audited by a third party. Maybe we start with Frank-Erik. I know that you measure your impact.
Yeah, I mean, we measure our impact through a lot of unit economics. Also, we have a connected platform of all the equipment that we have in the field. And this platform is also, collecting data, but also giving back a lot of insights related to sustainability. So that's how our customers also track that. But there are also other kind of impacts, which is really the feedback from the customers, the pleasure of having new and healthier drinks, the scale and the expansion. These are kind of impacts as well. But if we speak about the sustainability ones, they are reflected on our connected platform.
Nicole, can you already measure your impact at the stage where you are with your company?
Not in a sense of like how much we actually reduce, for example, CO2. It's more projections into the future. I think one side there is ecosystem of cultivated meat overall compared to conventional meat, what the upsides are there. We did some calculations with a tool from Bühler to calculate the potential that we have in the future, and then obviously we also do regular internal calculations on what steps we need to improve on to further reduce our CO2 footprint.
And you, Sarah?
So for us, it's really crucial in the process of the materials, developing them, and obviously also for the customers to showcase these data. So we are doing life cycle assessments and product carbon footprints, and always external to have the external view on that.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for being here today. It was a pleasure to talk to you about good impact. And big applause for Nicole Kleger from Sallea, Sarah Harbarth from KUORI, and Frank-Erik from Drinkotech.